Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's episode, I am joined by a senior from the Clarkson women's hockey team, Olivia Hanson. Olivia, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, and how's everything going?
Thank you so much for having me. It's going well. I don't have class today, so got to sleep in a bit.
That's good. That's good. Well, talk about your team's performance on the ice. We'll start off with that. Obviously, your team just started off the second half of the season at the time of this recording, and you guys are currently ranked in the top 10 of the USHL rankings. So, talk about your team's performance as of now and how you would evaluate it.
I'd say our team's performance has been pretty okay, for what we've wanted to do. We obviously want to be in the top 10, but I'd say our team's ultimate goal this second half would be to get up in the rankings a little bit, start beating the other top 10 teams in our conference. That's our main goal and what we need to accomplish here in this last stretch.
And how do you handle the pressure of being a ranked team, and what's the key for your team's consistency so far in the regular season?
I wouldn't say we really view it as pressure. I'd more so say we view it as an opportunity to just continue to work hard, and our coaches do a really good job of making it seem or making us feel like we're never satisfied, which I think really helps. We don't really feel pressure, we more so just feel motivation to keep climbing the ladder with where we're at in the rankings right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, you're a senior this year, so talk about the type of leadership you want to bring to the team. Are you more of a vocal leader or the by example type of player?
I'd say I'm a bit of both. Just being a senior, it's important that you are both. Leading both on and off the ice, vocally and by example. Yeah, we have a really strong leadership group this year, and I think it's really pushed our team to evolve and go out of our comfort zone. So I think it's been important for us to stay on track and stay on course with our goals and what we want to accomplish. And I think we've done a good job so far this year.
Now you get to play in the ECAC this year, and arguably the ECAC is the most competitive conference in women's college hockey this year. Like I was checking out the Pairwise rankings a couple of weeks ago, and there's like five or six ECAC teams in the top like 15, and some of those teams won't make the tournament, obviously, and they're really good teams. So talk about what it's like playing in that conference and just the competition you face every weekend.
hmm we knew that coming into this year that this was probably going to be one of the strongest years that ECAC's had. So we knew I guess we kind of felt pressure in that sense because we know when it comes down to it at the end of the year, if you're not high enough in the USCHO rankings and pairwise, it could hurt you in the end, and you'll have to be sitting there crossing your fingers at the end of the year for a bid, hopefully. But that's why we really want to start beating top teams in our conference that are up higher in the rankings, so it can hopefully help us down the stretch so we don't find ourselves in that situation. But yeah, I would say it's been challenging and having such a tough conference, but I would say if you make it to the tournament and down the stretch, that's gonna help us so much playing against that top competition. So
Yeah, and obviously makes you a better player as well because you're going against some of the best players in the country. And doing research on it, like you were in that position last year, kind of crossing your fingers, waiting for a bid. And what's crazy about it is if that was the situation this season, you wouldn't get in because Newha finally has a automatic bid. So I'm curious if you think there's some improvement that you think your team needs to make to sort of get in a better position than you were last year.
yeah, I'd say the biggest thing that we need to do is being able to, because we don't have many goals against, but we need to start scoring a bit. So I think but that also comes from good defense. So I would say um we need to just really start beating when we start playing when we play Yale and Quinnipiac and Colgate. Again, it's going to be really important for us to step up and try and get a win.
Yeah, that's early February. It seems like the big part of your schedule when you guys have Yale, Cornell, and Colgate in 3 straight games. I guess like obviously you don't want to look ahead, but how do you sort of like those are 2 home games. How do you think you're gonna do? How are you gonna try to use that to your advantage playing at Shield and playing in those big games? Because I feel like it's a lot easier playing at home against a big team than on the road.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure is. We have a great, like, atmosphere here at Cheel, and it's always nice, like, playing at home because you have, like, access, especially playing, like, great teams like that back to back. It's nice to, like, have your facilities and be able to, like, cold tub and, like, stuff like that going into, like, the second game of the weekend. But I would say it definitely gives us an advantage. I mean, you practice on that rink every day, so but, it's all gonna come down to, like, who wants it more, and so I think that's gonna be, like, our focus. That's been our focus, like, since we've come back for the second half is, like, really, like, upping, like, our practices and, like, our compete levels. So I think that's what's gonna help us now because we haven't played them since, like, we've implemented that in our practices, so I think, like, that will be, like, a big game changer for us.
Now talk about what it's like playing at Shea Arena because I've been told it's one of the best atmospheres in women's college hockey. And when the Olympians came back this season, it looked like it was a very crazy place to be in.
Mhm. No, it was so awesome, like, having them back and, like, getting to, like, meet them finally because we hear so much about them, like, they've, like, done so many great things for this program, and it was really cool to, like, see them and see, like, how much the community loves them, and, like, Potsdam being such, like, a small town, like and I, like, transferred, and so I never, like, really got to, like, experience that at St. Cloud because it was, like, a bigger city, but, like, Potsdam feels like it's smaller, so it's almost like there's always, like, those, like, local fans and, like, people that come in to just, like, support us and, like, have for so many years, so I think that that's, like, something super special that, like, makes, like, the rink come to life a little bit.
Did you get to talk to any of the Olympians at all?
Yeah, yeah, we did. They would come and just, like, hang out with us and come to our team meals and because 'cause they're obviously, like, because Matt coached all of them, so they're all still super close with him, and yeah, it was super cool to get to talk to them and meet them and hear, like, what their experience was like here at Clarkson.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, what were some of those conversations like between you and the Olympians?
Because a majority of them, like well, I'm pretty sure almost all of them I'm not sure actually, were here, like, when they, won, like, their national championships. So it was cool, like, hearing stories about, like, that and, like, what their seasons were like and, like, how, different, um, I guess their experiences were. Because obviously, like, it's a lot different now, like, we're trying to, like, achieve, like, what they accomplished. So it was, like, cool to, like, hear and, like, see the similarities, but also see the differences because, um, that's what kinda makes us go like, "Oh, like, maybe we should try that."
Yeah. Now talk about your game for a little bit this year. What do you think's been the biggest improvement you made to your game so far this year from the summer to now?
Oh boy. I would say from the summer to now, it's probably been like almost feeling that pressure of it being like my last collegiate year and just like trying to almost like amp everything up, but not but doing it in a way that like doesn't like stray away from like my style of hockey. So like being like shut down D, but also like can have that offensive touch so yeah, I would say just like honestly, everything, like, being here at Clarkson, like, we have so many, like, awesome, like, facilities, and our coaches are great, and, like, they're always working with us to, like, push ourselves, like, every day, so I feel like, honestly, like, everything's probably, like, improved since I've been here, which is the awesome part.
Yeah, and obviously, like, I'm just curious a little bit about what you work on in the off season to make those improvements when you're not with the coaching staff.
So I'm back home in Fargo, um, for a good chunk of it, but so I just, like, train at home at a gym, and we have, like, our strength program, which is, like they more so care about like that in the off season versus like getting on the ice and stuff because they know like we need a break. Like we skate every day here. So, but when I go back home, I like to get on the ice still, like maybe like 2 to 3 days a week and just do like skill sessions. And I skate with like my brother and his friends, so that helps a lot and it pushes me. Um, and then yeah, and then I'll just work out. But then this past summer, a big group of us actually came back to Potsdam for like a month and trained and skated with like the men's team, so that was lots of fun. So it was cool to experience Potsdam in the summer and just like be here without school, which was a lot of fun. And then I went back home for a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty easy to like stay on track and we have lots of team meetings and like make sure everyone's staying on track. And I mean, we have like pretty like tough fitness testing when we get back. So like if you're not ready to go, like it's pretty obvious.
Yeah. And obviously for yourself, this is your final semester in college. So, what's your mindset for like it, like, I guess, knowing that it's your final semester, so you're trying to enjoy it all and take it all in, but also you're trying to win hockey games as well.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm I mean, I've been thinking about it a lot lately, but I've been trying not to like get like super like stressed or sad about it, but I'm just trying to like make the most of everything that I can and obviously like school is important and I'm like I do well in school, so I'm like more so like probably gonna try and focus on just enjoying the hockey part of it because it's been such a important part of my life for so long. Um, but yeah, I'm just gonna take it all in, take what I can in.
Yeah. And what's your team's goals and expectations for the rest of this year, like on the ice wise?
I'm on the ice. Our goals and expectations are like to go 100%, like no matter like if we end up winning or losing, like that's our ultimate goal is like to make sure that like everyone is going like to the best of their ability because at the end of the day, like we can at least be satisfied with that and like come away with that like okay, like maybe we just like weren't as good as them, but at least like we gave it 100%, like no matter the outcome. So, and also like the obvious goals are that we need to get up in the rankings before, so it's crunch time.
Mhm. Now, one game I do want to talk about from this past season with your team is you guys got to go to Lake Placid during October. I want to ask how cool that was, how cool that trip was, and what you took away from that experience.
Oh, it was super cool. I mean, we've all been up to Lake Placid like in our off time and like go hiking and stuff, but it was a lot different like going there and being able to play like in the Herb Brooks rink. Um and so it was like really special to like see like the history behind that and like just walking around the town like during the day and like seeing all the history and like people like telling us like good luck. You kind of felt like a little celebrity. And like and then it was also nice cuz some of my family got to come. Um and yeah, it was super fun because it was like a little tournament style. Um and then we ended up beating SLU in the final. So that was just cherry on top.
Yeah, how are you a big fan of the movie Miracle?
Yeah, I am. It's probably like one of my favorite movies, of course.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies too, and I can quote it for days. But I know in Lake Placid they have like I guess a plaque of like Herb Brooks' quote from the movie when he did the I can't believe I'm blanking on this. It's probably early in the morning, but great moments come from great opportunity speech. I didn't know if you had the chance to see it or not.
I didn't. I didn't. Is it outside of the rink?
Apparently, it's on the door of one of the locker rooms where it happens. So I didn't know if you had the
I
chance to
know.
see it or not. Oh,
No. I think we were like on like definitely like the visiting. I don't know if we got access to that side of the rink.
maybe I don't even know if they might not use it anymore just because everyone want that locker room, but it's still
Yeah.
pretty cool nonetheless. And obviously for yourself, what was it like being in that building where a lot of big moments happened in hockey history?
Oh, it was super cool. Like just looking around and like seeing like all the names and like all the banners and just like seeing the history. It was super cool. That's cool.
So let's transition now and talk about the beginning of your hockey career and kind of work all the way up to where you are today. So doing research on yourself, it says that you're from Fargo, North Dakota. So talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing hockey?
I was actually born and raised in Minot, but everything does say Fargo now because my family did move there. So I just kind of like switched everything. But I was born and raised in Minot, North Dakota, and I grew up. I started playing hockey when I was like 3, maybe. But my dad was like the program director there, so I was kind of just like born into it. Um, so I started playing then, and I played boys all the way up until my second year Bantam. And then I went away to boarding school in Wilcox, Saskatchewan at Notre Dame. Played all 4 years there. And then which was awesome. And then I ended up going and playing at St. Cloud State until I was a junior after my junior season. And then I transferred to Clarkson for these last 2 years.
That's awesome. That's awesome. The only thing I know about Minot is they have a North American Hockey League team, the
Yep,
Minotaurs, I think they're called.
yep. My brother played for them.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. No, there's a
Yeah.
guy from Yukon that I'm a big Yukon hockey fan. If for those
Okay.
that don't know, and his name, he played for them last year, and that's how I know about them because I thought it was kind of a cool team name, the Minotaurs. It's something that I feel like those junior teams have the weirdest names ever, so it's something I like to joke about. Who was your favorite player growing up? Was it someone in the NHL or was it a women's player on the national team?
I would definitely have to say that I admired like the Lamoureux sisters
Hmm.
out of Grand Forks that played for UND and then USA. I always really looked up to them.
Have you ever had the chance to meet them before?
I have, yeah, when they would come back and work like the North Dakota like hockey camps and stuff with USA.
Oh, well, are they? I'm assuming they're very nice in person.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. No, I think I was thinking about they might be there's a case that they're the best women's hockey players of all time because of the iconic moments they've had in like the Olympics and stuff. But I
Mhm.
know that's like sort of that might be a controversial take. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I would say it. Like definitely on the US side for sure.
Yeah, that's what I meant, like US Hockey Hall of Fame. Like you can
Mhm.
make that case. Like obviously probably Poulen's probably the best
Yeah,
women's
I
hockey
thought
player
you
of all
might
time,
say
but
yeah.
maybe for US players, it's just something like I don't know. I feel like I feel like people don't like give them enough credit for what they've accomplished.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Now, obviously, you played in Saskatchewan with Notre Dame before college hockey. I'm curious how you got the opportunity to go up to Saskatchewan and play for that school and team.
Mhm. So I was playing boys and I kind of got to the point where I was like, "You know, dad, like I'm kind of sick of getting like hit around a bit. Like the boys were starting to get bigger and I was like I'm kind of like over like getting hurt and stuff." So I was like and I knew I wanted to play college hockey and so I knew I wanted to like be somewhere where I'd be pushed and like evolved like without playing like with the boys. So I ended up going it was either between there or Shattuck, and I ended up going up to Notre Dame, for a hockey camp before my freshman year of high school, and I've so I went to camp and I was like, "Yeah, like, I'd be, like, really interested in, like, going here," and their coach, just, like, ended up talking to me and was like it all happened, like, super fast. I think it was, like, 2 or 3 weeks before school started, and I was like, "Yeah, I wanna go," and parents were like, "Oh, okay. Are you sure?" And they just shipped me up to Wilcox. I was 14. So it kinda all happened fast, but yeah, that's
Was
how
it
I ended up there.
was the transition tough from boys to girls hockey?
Yeah, it was definitely a lot different, like, at least from what I remember, like, obviously, like, I'd get a lot of penalties because that's when I started hitting, like, my last year with them, so it was a lot different, like, you have a lot more time, but then you also, like you have to be almost like you have to make plays differently because you can't, like hit or like take the body really, like you're more so, and like I would say the biggest change was probably like playing D. Like
Mhm.
offensively it was like maybe like a little easier, like you had more time, like you knew you weren't gonna get rocked or anything, but defensively you kind of had to like learn how to play like stick on stick like a lot more, and like not more passive, but like you couldn't like step into them.
Yeah. I think the biggest difference I've noticed between boys and girls hockey is the breakouts. Like when in guys hockey, like when you break the puck out of the offensive zone, you like part of it is taking a check to in order to do that. Well, for
Mhm.
girls hockey, it seems a lot more like passing, trying to get it out versus like
Mhm.
skating it out. That's like the biggest difference I've noticed, like from the two games, but they're still relatively similar in my opinion.
Yeah.
Did you have to have any big hits like when you first started off? Like accidentally, obviously, but that's still kind of funny.
Oh yeah. I mean, I still don't know like why we can't hit. Like I hope that's something that does like change.
Yeah.
But like once you get to like a certain age.
Hmm.
But yeah, I definitely did.
Yeah, no, I don't know why don't they let you do it? Is there like what's how did that all start?
I don't know. It's just like always been that way, but I mean, I think like it women's hockey's kind of gotten to a point where like people are like, I think like we should be able to. I think it
Yeah.
would also like bring a lot more like attraction to the game as well.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. I think the reason why I would want it though is because I feel like referees are either really strict about hitting or they're not strict at all. And I feel
Mhm.
like a referee shouldn't really have a big impact on how the game is played. So that's
Yeah.
why I think it should be implemented because I feel like
Mhm.
if a ref's really strict about it, then a team with a good power play can use that to their advantage. But if a ref's loose about it, then teams can sort of use that to their advantage. And if you just added it, then I think teams would know what the game's gonna be like heading into it.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure. Like we'll even go into games and we'll be like, "Okay, we have so and so, like we're not really sure what to expect here." And then we'll like kind of like test it a little bit and then we'll be like, "Okay, like we're good to go. Like they're not calling anything."
Yeah.
So then
Yeah,
we know
no.
like we can play like more physical. But yeah, I wish we could just like right off the bat. I think it'd be a lot. And I think it would help like evolve like the women's game a lot too, like having players play with their heads up more and stuff. So I
Oh
feel like
yeah.
that's something that like women's hockey lacks a little bit.
And I
It's
know
funny.
some players would just love to like just have a big body check to hype up the team a little bit to start off the game.
Yeah. For sure.
What's your best memory from your Notre Dame hockey career?
Oh gosh.
It could be both on and off the ice. It doesn't matter. 'Cause I know a lot of people say like the off the ice stuff, they remember more than what they accomplished on the ice.
Mhm. I would say one of my best memories was when we won the Mandy Shorts tournament, which was like in Wilcox. I don't know if you've ever heard of that tournament, but
I have not.
yeah, so the Mandy Shorts tournament, excuse me. Yeah, so we ended up winning that tournament and it was awesome. It was super cool, just like the history like of the tournament and everything, because Mandy Schwartz went to Notre Dame. It's Jaden Schwartz's sister. And she ended up passing away from cancer. So every year there's like a Mandy Schwartz tournament and like teams from all over come. So it's pretty special and it was super special to win it there in Wilcox.
Yeah, and how did your Notre Dame hockey experience help prepare you for college hockey?
Oh yeah, it helped me a lot. Like yeah, being away from home at 14, like I had to grow up a lot, like quickly. Um, which was almost like bad and good because I think I thought I was a little older than I was. Um, but no, it was great. Like they taught us like all the skills like that we needed. Being able to like be more self-sufficient, doing your homework on your own. Um, being to class, like they taught us that like school's just as important. So that was something that really helped me a lot too. Like remembering that yeah, it's a hockey school, but they also like really push academics. So I think that was one of the biggest things that helped me moving on.
What is there to do out in Saskatchewan?
So Wilcox, I don't know if you know, but it's literally in the middle of nowhere. Like they call it like a village. They don't even call it a
Oh,
town.
wow.
So and we're not allowed to have cars when we go there. So you're kind of just there. But a lot of people that don't go there, like when I say to them like it was like the best experience of my life, they're like, "What? Like you're crazy." But I was with like you're with all your best friends and I feel like it like I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's
Does it
really,
remind
really
you of
nice.
Potsdam a little bit, like a small village?
A little bit, but Wilcox is even, like, way smaller. Like, there's n one paved road in the whole town, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
Main Street. Yeah,
That's pretty crazy. I would
yeah.
not wanna do that because maybe because it's I grew up in a big city, but, probably because, like, like, where do you get groceries and stuff? Like, I need options to do stuff. I can't just have one thing for everything.
Yeah, and, I mean, we would have, like, trips into, like, the city, like, into Regina, and we'd go, like we'd have, like, outings and stuff, like, if you wanted to, but they, like, did such a great job, like, feeding us and, like, having snacks and, like
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, talk about your initial recruiting process to St. Cloud State. I guess what made you wanna go there versus other schools you might have looked at?
Yeah, so um when St. Cloud was recruiting me, they were like kind of in their rebuilding process. So I saw that as like an opportunity to like go in and be able to make an impact. Um and obviously I was really young. So because they could recruit when you were super young.
That seems
And
so weird to me.
yeah. Yeah, but they changed it, which I think is also awesome. But yeah, so I was just really young and I think I was more so just, like, excited, like, at the opportunity and, like, um, didn't, like, really, like, think about it much because I was just, like, so excited and I was like, "Oh my gosh," like because everyone's committing, which I found, like, with, like, my age group at least, like, getting to college, like, everyone just committed so early and, like, it could be a fit, it could not be, like, you don't really know because it's, like, you almost just, like, commit because you wanna, like, beat your friend to it kind of thing, you know? If that makes sense? So, I think, like, that's kinda, like, how it went for me a little bit.
Yeah,
And it
talk
was
to
also close to home, so that was nice. And they
yeah.
had what I wanted to do for school.
Yeah, I think it's like I said, I think it's sort of weird, like recruiting someone like in a freshman year of high school. Is that usually when they used to do it back in the day?
Yeah, I think yeah, I started talking to schools when, um, before that.
Oh, wow. How do they
Yeah.
find out like how do they know how good you're gonna be when you're that young? Because I feel like there's still a lot of development to be had before
Yeah,
like your junior year of high school.
yeah. I think, like, schools, like, then, like, thought, like, "Okay, like, if they're here now, like, and we give them this commitment, like, we are almost, like, making sure that they, like, continue to, like, use it as motivation for, like, the kid to, like, keep going and, like, pushing their game, but, like, honestly, like, they don't know. That's why like, I was even talking to someone or to my coaches now, I was like, how do you even know, like, these" like, because when they would have recruits come in and they're like, "Yeah, like, it's hard talking to a 14-year-old kid, like, they don't know what they want," like and it's so I think it's awesome that they they changed, like, the rule because I think, like, it gives, like, girls a lot more opportunity without stress and, like, they're not, like, worried about, like, having to do that, like, they're just having fun, which I think is super important too. Um, so yeah, I'm really glad that they changed it. I think it'll, like, help a lot, like, down the road for girls so they don't have to, like, end up maybe, like, transferring or like, they end up where they should be.
Yeah. Now talk about your time at St. Cloud State and what you took away from that experience.
It was awesome. It was super fun and, a really good experience, and it, like, taught me a lot, like, about myself and, like, what I want and, like, how how far I'd wanna go with hockey, and I, like, kinda just got to a point where I was, Like, I knew, like, it was time for me to, like, move on and maybe, like, push myself a little more, and play for a better program, so I went into the portal, which was scary at that time because that's, like, when COVID and everything happened, and that was the first year that people could have a 5th year. So, like, I knew people had seniors, but, you don't know, like, who's staying or who's going and, like, with scholarship money and stuff too. And it's not like you can really, like, talk to you can't talk to teams before, like, you go into the portal, so you kinda just go in blind. So it was super nerve-wracking, but I had, like, a list of schools, and I was like, if one of them, like, reaches out and I, like, feel good about it, and, so they ended up Clarkson was in my list, and they ended up reaching out, like, right away, so I was super happy about that, and it just, like I had, like, a couple conversations, and I was like and, like, I had known, um, like, some girls that were on the team, and, like, I knew, like, the coaches, like, from, like, high school growing up, like, Tony Macy, because he would be, like, at, like, USA stuff, and he would I remember, like, him coming and watching at Notre Dame, but, um yeah, so and I just after having a couple conversations, I was like, "Wow, like, this, like I think this might be a really good fit for me," and it turned out being awesome, so
Yeah, and obviously, like, what was some of the adjustments you had to make to college hockey when you started off with St. Cloud State? I do want to ask about that. Was it the speed of the game, physicality, or just the decision making you have to have since the game is a lot quicker?
yeah, I would say probably the biggest thing, like, jumping from high school to college is definitely, like, being able to make plays a lot quicker.
Hmm.
Because like, like, you're capable of, like, making plays and, like, doing things and, like, being skilled, but it's all about, like, the pace that you can do it and being able to, like, do it without, like, freezing and, like, double clutching the puck. Like, you and, like, the biggest thing I'd also say is, like, confidence, like, being able to, like, believe in your abilities and, like,
Hmm.
being able to, like, execute it, like, at, like, a higher level. I'd say, like, that's probably the biggest thing.
Now, last season you made the national tournament. Even though the game didn't go your way, I do want to ask what you took away from that experience because that's pretty cool to get in the national tournament and play a team like Wisconsin.
Mhm. Like, for me personally, I had never been to a national tournament before, so it was, like, super special, and, like, that's something that, like, I've always wanted to accomplish. Obviously, like, it didn't go the way that we wanted it to, but I thought we like, dominated them. Like, in the game, I don't know if you watched, but I thought we, like, outplayed them. So it was, like, pretty sad, like, when it ended, um, but I think it just, like, made us even more, like, hungry to, like, get there again, like, this year and, like, make more of an impact in the tournament.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment. We're asking some non-hockey questions just to get to know you a little bit more off the ice. So the first one is, what music do you like to listen to?
Um, I would say, like, a pretty solid combination of, like, country and rap. Like, I'm not, like, too picky, but, like, I would say, like, if you were to go look at my music, like, it'd be a pretty good, like, mix. I like to have options.
Yeah, no, I'm sort of the same way because I don't understand how someone can only listen to the same genre of music every day. That seems
Mhm.
crazy to me. So I can listen to rock, hip hop, obviously country and classical as well. So I'm really into everything.
Oh, wow.
Who on the Clarkson women's hockey team has the best style besides yourself? Because I've seen the pregame outfits, and I think you have the best style on the team. Honestly, it's pretty unbelievable what the stuff that you guys come up with. So,
Oh,
besides yourself, who would you say has the best style on the team?
like, off the ice?
Yeah, the pregame fits.
Okay. Um, I would say probably Jaden Bogdan or Sarah Swiderski. They both, like, can put together an outfit pretty well.
Yeah. Obviously, for on the ice, it's always the goalies because you players look exactly the same. So that's why I never ask on the ice usually. Who's the funniest on the team?
I would say probably Senna Catterall or Emily Wisniewski.
Which teammate takes the longest to respond to your text messages or phone calls?
Oh gosh. Probably Emily Wisniewski.
What is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Um, well, I learned in class yesterday that Amazon is, you know how like sometimes when you go and check out like online on stores, like you can like pay with PayPal or whatever. They're gonna do like pay with Amazon Prime.
Hmm.
So that's like something that I learned. So I think that'll be super convenient for me.
I feel like Amazon's trying to do make like I feel like eventually the whole world's gonna run around Amazon because
Oh
I feel like they're doing movies, they're doing package deliveries, books, and all that stuff. It's
yeah.
like they always keep trying to do different things.
For sure. I think that too. I think they're gonna eventually take over.
So we'll see what happens though. But when you have as much money as Jeff Bezos does, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
Mhm.
Now, uh, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Oh goodness. I was thinking about this last night when I was reading over your questions and I was like I'm not sure. But I would have to say um maybe like Serena Williams.
Hmm.
I think that she like after watching all of her documentaries and I've always like thought she was like so like inspirational growing up and my mom would always, like, find magazines of her and show me because obviously, like, as, like, a hockey girl, you kinda grow up, like, being, like, super muscular and, like, you're kinda, like, standing next to your friends in middle school and you're like, "Oh," like, it's just different, like, growing up having, like, an athletic body, um so I think it was, like, super, like, inspiring to, like, see, like, how strong she was and, like, what she accomplished and, like, still continues to accomplish. So I think, like, she would be someone I would love to, like, sit down and, like, talk to, like, about stuff like that.
Well, getting back to some hockey questions now. For the younger listeners that are listening to this podcast, what advice would you give them on what it takes to make it to the level you are today in college hockey?
Mhm. Well, gosh, like, the game's, like, changed so much, like, even from, like, when I was younger. Like, I remember being little and, like not even touching my hockey skates in the summer, and now kids nowadays, like, are skating all summer, doing skills, and so it's just, like, I think it's getting, like, a lot better, which I think is great, but I still think it's, like, super important, like, for kids to just remember to, like, have fun, and, like, for parents to remember that too, because I think that was probably the biggest thing for, like, my evolvement was, like, being in different sports and, like, not letting it, like, consume me at a young age, even though it did, but, like, it was never forced upon me, and, like, I think, like, you're either kinda born with it or you're not, like, that, like, inner drive and, like, want wanting to, like, pursue something that, like, you're passionate about. So, I think, like, it's, like, once you feel that, once you get to a certain age, like, if you, like, fully just, like, buy into it and, like, focus on, like, all aspects of it, like nutrition, sleep, um, like, working out. Like, I think, like, if athletes, like, really focus on, like, that stuff outside of, like, hockey too, like, that'll help them, um, like, rise above their competition, like, especially since, like, everyone's doing, like, the same thing now, like, just, like, skating, like, 3 days or, like, 3 times a day. So,
And what
yeah.
should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion?
I think, like I was honestly talking with my dad about this the other day because we were talking about, like, what I wanna do next year and stuff. But I think it's awesome, like, how much, like, the game is, grown as a whole and, like, everything that, like, the national, players have done to, like, stand up and, like, make an impact, like, and, like, everything that's been, like, like how much the NHL's like been doing like for like the women's game, and also like the salaries being like doubled in like a lot of the leagues, like the professional leagues. So I think like having stuff like that's really gonna um continue to like evolve the game and like continue to like make it better.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think exposure is a big thing as well, like trying to put as many games as you can on TV just because like a casual person will like scroll through their channels and then like watch a little bit of it. So I feel like just anything helps to grow the game. And I think it's definitely getting a better spot.
Mhm.
Are you going to play pro hockey next year? I know we'd want to focus on your college career now, but I'm just curious if you've thought about that.
Yeah. I would say if my body's like feeling good and stuff, like I'd regret it like if I didn't. Just
Mhm.
to at least try, see if I like it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, we'll leave off with that. That'll be a fun tease for anyone, any of the pro hockey people that are listening to this. But uh, before we let you go, do you have any shout outs you want to give to your family members, teammates, friends, former teammates, or you can just say whatever you want. The floor is all yours.
Oh gosh. Well, I'd just like to give a shout out to my family and all my friends for supporting me and helping me get to where I am today. So, yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you so much, Olivia, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. It means so much to myself. And I wish you and your team nothing but the best for the rest of this year. I know you're going to do great. And I wish you nothing but the best for your future endeavors. I know you're going to do great and be successful in whatever you decide to do. So I'll be rooting for you nonetheless.